Hopefully, everyone can hear me. We are live here on the Pedrosa Travel Adventure Show, and we are here live with Bill from Armstrong's Adventure. Hello, Bill. Thank you for coming on the show today. We are happy to have you on the show. We have invited Bill here for an exciting show. We're going to talk about East Coast versus West Coast cruising today. I thought that would be an interesting topic since, Bill, I know you have been on both coasts before, so I think that will be an interesting topic today.
Okay, yeah.
Looking in the chat today, we have Amy from New Zealand. Hello, Amy. Thank you for being in the show today. Um, we're happy to have you. We're happy to have anybody on the show, really.
Hey,
That's how
Amy.
it goes. And and we're gonna make sure that I'm gonna try. I have been having this issue, and I tried it out on. Gotta mute my thing here. I don't see Nightbot back in the chat again. For some reason, Nightbot has been
It
having issues for me.
sometimes takes Night about a few minutes to come online.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the dashboard just to make sure that.
Well,
It was funny. Like I couldn't get Nightbot to come in the chat last
well,
time, and then all of a sudden, Mama Four Boys came in, and then it was working just fine. So I don't know.
hey, John,
It's
I am looking at us on hold on, maybe I'm behind. On there we go. I was just
I'm
making sure I had everything set up on my screen. Everything's fine.
okay. I'm. Do you hear us? I see Amy's out there. Can you hear us, Amy? If you can, it's like a séance. That's how it goes these days. I have all these Zoom meetings at work, and it's like a séance. It's like, are you out there? Can you hear me?
Right.
That's how it goes.
I know that. I know that feeling.
Uh huh. Well, I have Nightbot there.
What do you type to drop your link?
Try doing explanation mark drop link. I will type that in the chat as well. If you type in explanation drop link, um, that should drop the link there. Drop your link. Um, but I don't see Nightbot here, so maybe.
There we
Oh
go.
nope, it's working.
Nightbot's
Nightbot's
in.
in the house. Okay, yay, we're good. We got at least that going.
There
So
we
we'll,
go.
we'll get back on the topic. Well, like I said, welcome again, Bill, to today's show. Today's show is going to be East Coast versus West Coast cruising and comparing that. Before I do that, though, I wanted to talk about your channel. I'm very excited about your channel. Like I was telling you off the air, you are so close to 1,000. What's your count these days, Bill?
I believe I just checked before I came online. I think I'm at 935. 935.
935, folks. So if you're watching this show, please, well, thumbs up and like this one, please. But then go over to Bill's channel and subscribe. He's got a bunch of wonderful content. He does a lot of pop up live streams. He is the live stream master. He taught me how to come on to EveMukes. So this presentation that we're seeing today through EveMukes is brought to you by Bill because Bill taught me how to do this.
Well, I showed him. I told him about the platform, but he's made it his own. You
Well,
have to look
I
at. You
think
have to really look
everybody
at
does
that.
that, of course. So I know about your channel, but I don't know about if everybody watching knows about your channel. So I kind of want to go over your channel a little bit before we go
Okay,
into the topic.
sure.
So why build YouTube? Why did you get into YouTube in the first place?
Well, I've been cruising for a long time and doing a lot of travel. And I would take pictures and take videos and pictures never to be seen again.
Hmm.
So, beginning of 22, cruising just started back up. I started going cruising. I said, you know what? Let me put this on YouTube so the family can see it because a lot of times we still had the little distancing and things like that. So, oh, let me put this up so the family can see what I'm doing and things like that. Well, I didn't do the listed unlisted YouTube. I said, oh, I'm just make it public, not thinking anybody would come by my channel. Well, people started coming to the channel, making comments and things like that. And it's like, hey, this is kind of fun, interacting with people. And March 18th, that was the beginning of Warm Strong Adventures.
Awesome. Oh, I see my aunt is in the house. Hello, Angie DeLong, Candy Kinnison DeLong. Angie is my aunt. and she is visiting. Thank you for visiting the channel, Angie. We are happy to have you out there on Facebook. I am happy to see the Facebook chat out there.
Yes.
So it's nice to see Angie's out in the house. And when I said Angie, Denise said too. Oh, Denise is my wife, by the way. She's in the background. Did you need something?
I was just letting you know I was gone. So,
okay.
And dinner's on the stove.
Hello, everybody. This is my wife, Denise Pedrosa.
Hello.
Welcome, Bill. Bill's talking to us. We are live from California, talking to Michigan. By the way, how is the weather doing out there? We will see Denise later. Thank you for coming into the chat, Denise.
Better than it was a few days ago. Now it was about 40 degrees today, sunny. So not a bad day here in Michigan for 20,
yeah,
26, 27.
For a while there, I wasn't even sure if you were going to be on the show.
I wasn't sure either.
Bill, how many days were you out of power there?
About 49 hours, 2 days.
49 hours, oh my goodness. And
Yes.
and the weather was what, like 12 degrees out there?
It was about, it dropped down to like the low 20s, mid to low 20s. And what happened was I had destroyed my phone and I had ordered a new one, an insurance claim, ordered a new one. And it was supposed to come UPS. I had to sign for it. Then we lost power that night. So I made the decision to stay home, bundle up, and just wait for the phone to come in because I didn't want to miss it and then, don't know when I'm going to get my phone. So
Yeah.
I roughed it out, and my phone didn't come till probably about 7 o'clock that evening. And I said, well, I might as well rough it out one more day. They said it should be on by midnight. It did not come on by midnight. So the next day it came on. And
Man, that is dedication to connectivity to cell phone service.
I
Bill.
needed my cell phone.
Well, it's like it's become like part of us these days. It's going to be like attached to our hands. You cannot have it without the phone these days. But I don't know. 48 hours, well, 49 hours, you said, in darkness. Like, how did you even power up the phone once it got to you?
Well, it came with some power. On the second day, I wound up going over to my daughter's house and just powering up all my equipment. I have like a spare battery for my camera equipment, but it could also use it for a phone. So it kept me going.
Okay, Bill. Well, next time I would just send it to your daughter's house first, hang it out over there. I got to say hello to some people that came in the chat. Hello, Fearless Rambler, who has come in the chat. We are happy to have you. And hello, the Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're talking to Bill from Warmstrong's Adventure. And if you'd like to drop your link into this channel, just type in !drop link, and you can network with everybody in this channel. I am all about networking and discovering new channels. I watch channels all over the place. It doesn't matter if the channel's from Guatemala to India to Madrid, Spain. I have friends all over the place. So yeah, please put down that !drop link. Talk to each other in the chat. We encourage that on all of our channels. And I know Bill on his channel does the same. He does that a lot too. He encourages networking. Yeah, you are really good at networking. And we're trying to get Bill up to his 1,000 subscribers. So make sure you go over to Bill's channel and subscribe and give a thumbs up to this one and to Bill's channel. So we were talking about your channel, and you were saying that so you were trying to talk to your family via your videos, is what I'm getting at here.
Well, just not talk to my family, but just showing them what I'm doing, where I'm at, and the fun I'm having. Mm-hmm. They weren't able to share it with me, so it was a way of sharing my videos with them. But they were public, so other people were stopping by. So I just started making more. I have video here, and it made me more organized. And because I would have videos from different cruises, I would have no clue, which cruise that was on, because I didn't catalog my videos. So it's like, oh, I think that was this cruise or that cruise. Well, this way it was a way to categorize, which cruise ship I was on, what I did, and my adventures on that cruise ship. And it worked out well. And it just this channel started growing, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
You know what's funny about that, Bill, is like I did the same thing. The first videos that I put on my channel were just for my family. And you know what happened? Well, at least your family watched them. My family did not watch my videos. Although I have to say that my Aunt Angie is in the house today, so she's watching from Minnesota. I think maybe she was the first person to watch videos on here. but nobody else from my family actually watched the video, but it was the strangers who came in and watched the videos, and
Right.
that's what's grown my channel. It was not my family. You know, they always say build within your own network first, network with your own people. Well, my people never came. You're my
Right.
people now. If it wasn't for people like you watching my videos, I don't know. I would probably still be at like 5 subscribers. Hello, I am Betty J. Gathers. I see you in the house. And hello, Jennifer from Embarkation Nation. We are happy to have you here in the Pedrosa channel. Please type in explanation drop link. We're going to be talking a little bit about East Coast and West Coast. But first, we're learning a little bit about Bill's channel. And with that, what was your first video, Bill, on your channel?
Well, the first one on my channel actually was in 2009.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know anything about
You're old
YouTube.
school on this one, then.
I was December 31st. They used to drop D like they do drop the Big Apple in New York. Well, they dropped the D here in Detroit, and I
Oh,
filmed it. It was like 60-degree night. I was out downtown, and I videotaped it, and I
is
put
it
it
like
up.
on a tower?
It was connected to like the CompuWare building that was here.
Oh,
So
okay.
and
I've never
it
heard of
dropped
this
down,
before.
and it lasted only a couple of years, as far as I know.
Oh,
It's a little too
okay.
cold that time of year for anybody to even want to gather down there. But
Nobody's
um,
gonna come out.
that was actually the first video I posted. But after that, I want to say my first video was probably a panorama video
Oh,
in
well,
the
we're
West
definitely gonna
Coast.
be talking about the panorama
Yeah, it probably
on
was.
this show for sure. And I think I saw somebody else come in the house. Oh, the Scrow's Nest. Welcome to the show, Scrow's Nest. We are happy to have you on the show. We're getting all sorts of people in the
Yep,
show. Thank you,
Crow's Nest,
everybody, for coming in.
Fearless Ramber, that's George, and I am Betty J Gathers. That's my good friend Betty J, and
Yeah, Betty J, man, she is supportive of all the channels. I see
she
her
is.
everywhere. She is so good with following the channels, and I like going to her channel too. Please connect everybody with each other's channels. We encourage that on this show. And so, the last of all, where do you see your channel going in 5 years? Well, actually, second and last. I have one more question after that one. But where would you like your channel to be in 5 years?
I haven't really given that much thought. I mean, I like to see it grow, and just wherever it goes. I'm retired, so I'm not trying to do this for to make a living. Would it be nice to have like a second stream? I have a pension, so a second stream of income. It'd be nice. I haven't really given it like a 5-year plan. Work to be monetized and be as large as possible, reaching the most people as possible. But people enjoying the channel, and that I guess that's the key. I really just I want to see the channel go, but I want to see it grow with people that want to see like cruising and travel videos. Kind of like yours. Where you go all over the world and you cruise, but you also go here, and that's what I plan on doing. So I see my channel expanding as far as travel to include land-based travel, also.
Oh, I see Betty in the channel. She's turning it back on me there. She's asking me where I see myself in 5 years. Well, myself in 5 years, I would love to be traveling too. I have a family that, if you know my channel, you know that I have a teenage son, but he's going to be 16 soon. And so that means in a couple more years, he'll be off to college. And then after he's off to college, I hope to be traveling. I have been lucky in my job that I've been working for over 26 years now in my profession. I work in law enforcement, is what I do, for those who don't know. I've been over 26 years in law enforcement, love law enforcement a lot, but law enforcement can wear you down after a while. And so I'm hoping to retire out of that, and maybe this will be the next thing. If not, I'll just travel. I don't care if I travel on a budget or do it high style. I'll anywhere that I can go on the next trip. That's what's for me.
Exactly. Well, that's why I am. I've traveled all type of ways with the like, especially cruising, um, suites, balconies, never ocean view or an interior. And I kind of choose interior rooms now because it gives me more bang for my buck. Meaning I can take 2 cruises for the price of 1 balcony. So I mean, unless I get a good deal on the balcony, I go with an interior.
You know what's so crazy about that, Bill, is I have done 5 cruises now, I've been starting to get into this cruising. I wouldn't consider myself a cruise guy, but I mean, cruising is part of travel. I like land-based traveling. I like cruise-based traveling. It's just not about just cruising for me, even
Right.
though the cruise industry is huge. And I am on my fifth cruise now, and I keep on trying to book an interior room, and I keep on getting upgraded. I have
Nice.
yet not gone on an interior room yet.
Yeah.
Every single time
Good for
I,
you.
I book an interior room. I know that you were there. I don't know if you saw my last video that
I
I
did.
did
You got
about the
upgraded, got a
carnival
package.
radiator. Yeah, I booked the cheapest room on the cheapest cruise on the West Coast, and they still upgraded me to a Cloud Nine's balcony suite.
So, because didn't you like tag the cruise ship? It was
Yeah,
radiant.
and
Yeah.
that's a tip, by the way, guys. If you're on a cruise and you want to get upgraded, hashtag, well, at least on Carnival, hashtag choose the fun. Because, and let me tell you, those fun squad people, they're watching. They're watching out there. They're watching. They're watching all that social media stuff. Don't think that Carnival and NCL and Royal, they're not, they're watching their hashtags out there. So I learned that on this cruise a lot, is they are definitely watching their hashtags. So why not? If you can get an upgrade out there, go for it.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that,
so
that sounds good because I think you got Wi-Fi too, or didn't you?
yeah, yeah, it was so crazy. What happened there is I not only got upgraded from an interior um, to an balcony suite Cloud Nine room, which came with a $50 spa credit, came with 2 free fitness classes, the body scrub, which by the way, I still have the body scrub here because the winner from the last show never claimed it. So if you're the winner from the last show and want your body scrub, please claim your prize. I still have it there.
Here.
Yeah, you weren't there. I know it wasn't you, Bill. I know it wasn't you. I actually tried contacting the winner. Hey, Pinoy Mike, it is good to
Hey,
see you.
Mike.
Thank you so much for coming on a live stream. It is so nice to have you out there. Yeah, yeah, Bill better get started on those upgrades. And where is your next cruise, Bill?
Next cruise is flying over to Brisbane, Australia, and coming back on a 22-day cruise from Brisbane, Australia
Wow.
to Seattle.
Did you just say 22 days?
22 days.
22 days. And so is it going from it's going from Australia to here to California or what?
No, it's going. We leave Brisbane and stop in the French Polynesian, Tahiti, Fiji, Hawaii, and then it stops in Seattle.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that is Carnival Luminosa. And then that I leave on the 13th from Brisbane. I get to Seattle on the May 4th, and then May 4th I go on a 7-day cruise to Alaska. So May 4th
13th
is
of
May 11th.
April?
The 13th of April this year I leave. Well, I'll
And
fly
then,
over to Brisbane probably about the 9th.
and then you're immediately going over to Alaska.
Yep, I'm doing a back to back. So
Wow. That is awesome, Bill. Well, you better be
it's that
doing some
retired life.
videos, Bill. We expect some pictures because if you don't do pictures, it never happened.
There you go. Well, and that's why I got YouTube so I can share my pictures. So
Yeah.
the family, even though they didn't go with me, they can see it. But then now everybody hopefully can come along for the ride also.
And isn't Z on one of those? I heard something about Z being on the same floor as you.
Z is he is on the Jubilee December 23rd. The
Wow,
Carnival
you
Jubilee
got
has
quite the lineup going. Good for you, Bill. Good for you. You got quite the lineup going. I see some more people in the house today. We're up to 12 people today. That's great. Hello, Destination Fun. Thank you for coming in
Hey
the
Sherry.
chat. I see Woman Outdoors is in the chat. We are just loving all these people in the chat. Thank you for coming. Again, you're on the Pedrosa Travel Adventure Show. Oh, and we have my other aunt. I'm going to go Spanish here. Hola, María. Hola, es mi tía. Es mi tía Lourdes de Mexico. We have my aunt Lourdes from Aguas Calientes, Mexico, coming to visit us. Thank you so much. Gracias, Lourdes, por visitarnos. Estamos muy orgullosos de tenerte con nosotros. Wow, we are going international. We got people from the Philippines here. We got people from
Good.
Indonesia here. We got my aunt from Minnesota. We got my aunt from Aguascalientes. We are having all sorts of people in the chat today. Wow, this is an exciting chat. I'm so happy to hear you. Okay, so we are going to get to the topic of East Coast versus West Coast. I got to ask you one last question.
Sure.
Because this is a travel channel. I believe travel goes always. So if you could go back in time and travel to any place in time that you could go to, Bill, and visit and talk to one person, what would that person be?
Oh, good question. Let's
We,
see.
we like to stump
Go,
people on this show.
go back in time. What and you know what? I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it simple.
Okay.
Um, I would go back one person. I'm gonna say my mother
Oh, person,
because
you're taking it
again,
there.
I mean, we could go back into history, but again, I'm not. I would be less concerned with the history. But my mother, there's so many questions now that I'm older. I wished I would have asked. And again, I mean, would it be nice to go talk to like John Kennedy? Would it be nice to go back? Yes, but I would be more interested in my history than the history of the world. And it's questions that I never got to ask I would say my parents, my father and mother. I chose my mother um, because I have just so many questions I would want to ask as far as our lineage and things like that I didn't ask while she was alive.
It's so interesting that you say that, Bill. Um, I'm always trying to plan 1 week ahead for my videos. And next week I'm going to be doing a very interesting video. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I'm going to share a screen with you. And I think it's really important that people do share, hopefully that picture is coming out here, share their family stories with their families.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to add in, this is a picture from the 1930s. And if my, see me and my Tia Lourdes, who's in the house, probably recognizes this photo. Let me see if I can do this here. This is a picture from the 1930s, and this is kind of a family mystery in our family. Um, the person on the right of this picture is my grandfather,
Okay.
and the person on the left is my great grandmother. And the thing that I always knew who was in this photo. I knew that it was of my grandfather and his mother, my great grandmother,
Uh-huh.
but I never knew where they were. And I just had an interesting travel adventure where I found out where this photo was taken. And so I'm going to be sharing that next week on the show. So I think it's great. I mean, so many times I wish that if we could just go back in time and talk to our loved ones, imagine all the history that we could find out, personal history, things that actually affect us. I think it would be amazing.
Well, and that's it. I have pictures now that I don't know. Some of them I know who's in the picture, but some of them I don't know. And I guess I would have been more interested if I had thought about it, about the history, and have it explained to me. I know my family came up from my mother's family came up from like Tennessee, and I would have loved to got the backstory to that. And I would be more interested in that than speaking to Martin Luther King, John Kennedy, to tell me about their beliefs. I'd rather learn about myself than that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You gave me a perfect segue. This is the preview of next week's video. Next week's video. Well, so on this channel, I'm trying to do a live stream every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But on Saturdays at 6 a.m., I drop a long form video every week. And the next long form video will be about this family mystery photo from the 1930s and how traveling solved the mystery for me. So thank you so much. I didn't realize you were going to do a
Come on,
segue for me there.
John. We talked about this beforehand. Come on, John.
You're good at this, man. See, this is why Bill has more subscribers than me, because he's good at talking about these topics. Thank you so much for coming on. This is great. We have some more visitors in the house. I see Down Under Cruisers. Thank you for coming all the way from down under. I think we have all the continents now on this channel today. We've had visitors from every continent on this video today. Is that crazy or what, Bill?
Yeah.
We are going way international today. Well, thank you for coming, Down Under Cruisers. We're happy to have you. And you're about to have Bill, I just learned. I learned Bill's coming to your country, so get ready. Bill's on his way, right?
Well, yep, Down Under Cruisers, they aren't going to be in the part of the country where I'm at. I'll be in Brisbane, and I believe they're from Melbourne. I believe.
Okay.
I could be wrong, because Sean, don't get mad at me if I'm wrong.
Okay. We can't blame Bill, Sean, if he's wrong. But Bill, if you're still here and listening, you can school us on the topography of Australia, because us Yankees, we don't know anything about the topography of Australia. I will admit it right now. So let's move on to the topic a little bit. The topic today is East versus West Coast cruising. And since we are so international today, I need to say that when I say West versus East Coast, I'm talking the United States, because obviously we just learned that there is a far West cruising out there and there's a far East cruising. I've done cruising in Europe, and I've actually traveled out to the way West Coast, which is like Japan over the international date line, and Sean just said Bill is correct. He is in Melbourne, and so you have it correct, Bill.
See?
You're on top of it.
The old man remembered.
If I had I don't know, I have to look. Here. This is for you, Bill. although Bill would do that on his channel for anybody coming in. That's what he does on his channel for people coming in.
Well, welcome in.
Well, welcome in. I'll just do one here. I'll just do one applause for everybody. This is for everybody. If you come into the show, this is for you, people. Thank you for coming in the show and commenting. Please, if you'd like to connect to anybody, please type in !drop link. If you do that, it will drop your link into the chat, and you can share out your channel into the chat. So we will do. Oh, you have a premiere soon? I totally understand. Thank you so much for coming, the Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla. We will be talking more about this. So there's always the replay, right, Bill? There's always the replay.
Thank you, the Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla. I will be checking out your channel once this chat is over.
Yeah. Please connect. Please connect, everybody. There's so many good channels out there to watch. And we're talking about East Coast versus West Coast. So when we talk about East Coast versus West Coast, it's interesting to me because pretty much all the ships, when you're talking about cruising, they kind of all go to the same, they all kind of do a circuit. I mean, it was interesting. I think it was over on, was it Destination Fun? Just about an hour ago, I was watching them it was the NCL Dawn and the Carnival Pride were sailing out of, what was that? Was that Tampa Bay? You were there.
Yeah. Port of Tampa.
Yep. And they were going out. And what was crazy to me is that NCL Dawn was actually the same ship that I cruised on when I was in Europe, when I did the Baltics. So it was like looking at, when I look at the NCL Dawn, I associate it with Europe, not Florida.
Yeah.
But that's how
they do get around.
Yeah. And so they're going around. So I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there are some differences in the ships on the East Coast versus West Coast. The largest ships, if I'm not mistaken, are on the East Coast. And probably, I think the largest ships out there, cruise ships today, are probably Royal, right?
They have Wonder of the Seas. You probably look the Oasis class ships probably are larger. They might be larger or about the same size as Carnival XL class ships.
So, which is the largest ship that you've been on, Bill?
Carnival Mardi Gras and Carnival Celebration with their sister ships, so they're about the same size.
Mm-hmm.
Probably looking at close to about 5,700, probably 55 to 5,700 people or passengers.
That's pretty big. The largest one that I've been on, which you've also been on, is the Panorama. And I
Yeah,
believe the Panorama can hold, what is it, like 3,000, well, 3,000 guests and then another
yeah. It probably holds a little bit
2,000
more than
crew.
that. It's probably a little over four, I believe, but it somewhere around there.
Yeah. So what do you think the major differences in your opinion are on East Coast versus West Coast cruising? What have you noticed?
Well, again, the thing you have is a lot of people, um, they don't want to fly out to the West Coast
Hmm.
to cruise. It's just a hassle. They don't, you want to be able to drive, and probably the same thing with the West Coast. But if the West Coast wants to do different ships, they have to come way down to the East Coast.
Hmm.
The biggest difference is, and it's a slight difference, but for me, it's like the weather. And it's, once you get into the summer on the East Coast, the Caribbean is hot. Summer, you have about a month of really hot weather on the West Coast, but once you start cruising at night, it cools down. On the East
Hmm.
Coast, it won't cool down. So like right now, if I flew out there right now to the West Coast, there'll
Hmm.
be days you would be in Ensenada and probably you might need a jacket.
Hmm.
Not all the time, and most of the Caribbean islands, once you get away from Florida, you'll be good without a jacket. Not saying they don't have cool days where it's in the 70s, but it's a little warmer to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. If we're going to talk about weather, my experience on weather is yes, um, the Caribbean area definitely tends to be a little bit warmer than the West Coast as far as weather goes. But with that, you get a lot of humidity on the East Coast that we do not get on the West Coast. The
Yes,
West Coast, we are primarily a desert community, and so it's a lot drier when
right.
it gets to the air here. So some people actually will get nosebleeds here on the West Coast because the air is so dry here.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that happen. So you want to watch out for that. As long as you remain hydrated, you should be fine. Let's see. Fearless Rambler just said West Coast Carnival Panorama is 4,000 double occupancy, 5,146 maximum. So
Yeah.
that's pretty big
The
still.
Panorama is a large ship. I mean, again, that's when I forget what channel we were on. We were talking about that. Panorama is a pretty large ship. That was like one the largest until I just recently went on a larger carnival ship that I've been on. It holds a fair amount of people.
And for those that do not know, the Carnival Panorama, its three main destination ports. Well, all the Carnival ships out of California, except when you're in the north, go out of Long Beach. Here's a picture of Long Beach, California. This is where they come out of. Long Beach, California is known for the Queen Mary, and this dome is where there used to be a big plane, the largest propeller plane in the world used to be in this dome. It was called the Spruce Goose. It is no longer here in California, but now this is the immigration terminal for Carnival Cruises. And that boat that you see to the right of the photo there is the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary
Right.
used to be based on the East Coast, which I kind of find funny that it was that they have the Queen. We have the Queen Mary here on the West Coast, but
Right.
the Queen Mary was actually known for doing transatlantic voyages through the for the Cunard Line back in the day, and it sailed until 1975, and then it was retired here to Long Beach, California. I live in Riverside, California. I'm only like about 30 minutes away from Long Beach. So Long Beach is definitely my home port. And for you, you're in Michigan. So what's your closest home port?
The closest home port is probably in New York. I've never been out of that port. It's in New York. I always fly down to Florida. It's just simpler.
Okay. And
And
that is one thing that we should probably mention, Bill, is that, oh, by the way, I wanted to say hello to M&T Living and Cruising. Thank you so much for coming in. You are here on the Pedrosa Travel Adventure Show. We're so happy to have you. Please type in explanation drop link just like Destination Fun just did, and we will share out your link. Thank you so much for coming down under cruisers. I'm going to be sending you a message. I would love to have you on this show, Sean. If you're willing to be on this show, I would be interested in having you on this show. So look for an email. And if you're interested in being on the Pedrosa Travel Adventure Show, please email me at john@pedrosatravel.com. We're always looking for new guests on this show, and nobody wants to hear just me talk for 60 minutes. So it's always more pleasant when you have a friend on board. So
Yeah,
if
they
you're
do.
interested, so if you're interested in coming on this show, I'm not like other shows that have a panel. I like to do a one-on-one conversation like I'm having here with my friend Bill, but I'd love to have you on this channel. So just send an email to either admin@pedrosatravel.com or john@travelpedrosa.com. I'll type that in, and we would like to have you on the show. Anyways, one thing here, I'm going to type this in really quick, but that is something that I do enjoy on the East Coast. On the East Coast, I think you have an advantage in that there are more harbors in which to sail from. So here in California, we have San Francisco, Long Beach, San Pedro, and San Diego. So that's 4 ports. But on the West Coast, on the East Coast, sorry, you have so many more ports to sail from. You have New York, you have Florida, and in Florida, how many ports are there from Florida these days? I know of at least 3. There's Miami, just got knocked off, didn't it?
Yeah.
Miami used to be the #1 port at 6 million.
I believe Port Canaveral just knocked them off as far as having the most. Port Canaveral.
Which one was it?
Port Canaveral, which is people call it Orlando, but it's Port Canaveral.
Yeah, Port Canaveral. And then Port Canaveral makes sense to me because Orlando is like the entertainment capital of the East. I mean, the theme parks started here in California, but over there in Florida, man, did they blow them up. There are so many theme parks in Orlando, Florida. The House of Mouse is definitely into effect over there in Florida. So you have like Miami, you have Tampa, you have Orlando, and then isn't there 4? Jacksonville. Trying to remember all the ports. And then after that, then you have Texas. You have forget that. Before Texas, you have New Orleans. New Orleans. There's lots of sailings out of New Orleans, and then there's Galveston, Texas.
Yep. Well, used to have in Alabama, Mobile. I don't know if they're still selling out there. One of the ports was closing down. It might have been Mobile, but yeah.
Are they still doing Mobile, Alabama ports? I don't know.
Yeah, they used to have Mobile, and I don't know if they still do or not. But they used to sell out of Mobile, Alabama. Carnival did.
Oh, okay. Somebody's trying to call into the show today. I think I have a phone call in the background.
They want to be part of the fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was on. Here, I'm going to put up. One second. I'm going to put up a picture here. While I look at this phone call really quick, but I'm not dropping the call. Let's see who's trying to.
We got you.
You know what's funny is I was on another show the other day. Whose show? I was on Rich Cat Ranch.
Yes.
Great show, Rich Cat Ranch show, and she figured out a way through live stream that people could call in and ask questions on the show.
Really?
Yeah. And so I called into this number that she gave, and people could like ask questions on the air and then hang up, and then she would answer them on the air. And I thought that was amazing.
That is
Although
nice.
we do have some comments here. If you have any comments or questions on the topic, we'd like to hear those too. So please drop your comments and questions in the chat, and we will read them here. I see this one from Fearless Rambler. Fearless Rambler states, just went to Catalina, California, and Ensenada, Mexico a week ago. Very nice t-shirt weather. Yes, that is one advantage that we have on the West Coast. So right now on the East Coast, they're having a lot of storms. Although right now I hear it's 80 degrees in Florida, so I can't say much. But
and again,
weather lasts longer here in California. What was that, Bill?
I think your weather is. I think your weather is a little cooler at night. You don't have Florida. You have the humidity. They may go through a couple of cold spells, but if you ever go to Ensenada or uh, Cabo San Lucas. Don't get me wrong, it's better than Michigan, but it's not as warm it would be if you went to Antigua or someplace in the Caribbean. And the water isn't as warm. You're literally in the Pacific Ocean. The water isn't as warm as the Gulf of Mexico.
Maybe not. Some places, like if you go down as far, well, the main ports, if we're going to talk about, let's talk about the Carnival Panorama because I think we've both been on that ship and so we
Yeah.
can. By the way, hello, Ocean to Ocean Travel. Nice to
Hey,
have
Bruce.
you here in the chat. We're happy to have you here talking about East Coast versus. There are some ports like down in Puerto Vallarta. The water can get pretty warm down in Puerto Vallarta. But I do agree with you. If you're up north near Ensenada or Cabo, the water's going to be colder there.
Well, and again, and that's one of the main differences is the number of ports that cruise ships can go to down on the East Coast to ports that they can go to on the West Coast. There's a few major ports that they go to: Catalina, Ensenada, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
Those are like the main ports, 4 ports. Now you may hit another island, or you may do something like that. If you're on a cruise ship, you're going to hit those ports. Whereas if you go to the East Coast, my goodness, you from Key West all the way to Barbados.
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot more ports on the East Coast. You can go to places like Cozumel. You can go to the Riviera Maya. You can go to Belize. You can go to Guatemala. You can go to Cancun. What's interesting is there's a little bit of a historical perspective there. Back in the day, the West Coast travel really started the Mexico cruise traveling. And on the West Coast, we used to go far south as down as Acapulco. But unfortunately, in the early 90s, there was some issues in Acapulco where there was some gang violence there. And they started to have to cut out of Acapulco. The cruise ships back in the Love Boat days, like if you watch the Love Boat, you'll see them go down to Acapulco and Panama. Now, the cruise ships still can go down to Acapulco, and they also can go down as far as Huatulco. If you get on some of the longer ships, you can get down to Huatulco, which is in the state of Oaxaca, but you won't see them go to Acapulco anymore. I'm hoping that I heard that Princess Cruise Line is opening up Acapulco again. And so it used to be dangerous over there in the 90s, but now it's calmed down enough. And Princess Cruise Line was really the one that opened up Acapulco as a destination. It used to be where all the stars would go down to Acapulco, Mexico.
Right.
There's the famous, what is it? Elvis. He did the movie Acapulco with the cliff divers and all of that stuff. So I'm hoping that port
Blue
will
Hawaii,
open up.
was it Blue Hawaii or something like that?
Well, Blue Hawaii, that's a more famous
Oh,
one.
no,
We
I'm
also
sorry,
did
you're
one
right.
called Acapulco. Yeah, Blue Hawaii is
No, you're right.
Well, and that's the other thing. We can get to Hawaii from California, so that's a good one too. But no, by far you have better, and you have all those Caribbean islands over there on
Yes.
the East Coast. The Caribbean islands are amazing. In fact, many of the destinations on the East Coast, they have their own islands. Like I think it's Royal Caribbean that does Perfect Day at Coco Bay.
Coco Cay, yep.
Coco Cay.
Or Key, actually, but yeah.
Yeah. And then Disney has their own island out there on the East Coast as well. There's no cruise line on the West Coast that has their own island. You will always be traveling to another country when you're on the West Coast.
Well, and that was, the biggest difference. I've been on a lot of cruises, and I was really used to the East Coast. I kind of got tired of them. All the islands started looking alike. And then, beginning of last year, I took my first West Coast cruise, and I fell in love with Cabo San Lucas and Mazatlan. I fell in love with those places, and I want to go back. I would suggest that to anybody. So even though I say the things that I say, I really enjoy cruising the West Coast.
Yeah, isn't that amazing how like Cabo San Lucas has like probably the most chill environment that you've ever
I
seen on
love it.
Earth?
I love it.
Like that is the most chill city I have ever been to is Cabo San Lucas. And the water is awesome.
Yep.
And you can get like you can just sit on that little marina there and chill and have a soda. If you're into wine or alcohol, you can do
Yeah.
that too. And it is so chill there. I am envious M&T living and cooking. It's in the 80s over there. In 85. I wish I was in the high of 85 right now.
I, w-
Um,
I wish I was in the 50s.
well, I'm beating you there. I'm above 50. I think we reached the 60s here in California. We had some rain, but we're over it. Um, and then the Love Boat. Yeah, the Love Boat did so much for cruising. It really introduced the masses
It
to
did.
cruising. Um, in that way, that show, I mean, it was such a corny show, but it did so much for the industry, I think. And still today, I mean, if you hear that theme song for the Love Boat, you know what it is. Everybody
Right.
knows what the Love Boat theme is. And then you got to do the Isaac, right? The fingers. Like I'm still waiting. Like you would, I want to go on a Princess Cruise and see if they actually do that. That would be like a
Right.
trademark thing, I think. And then Acapulco is the same. I don't know. Acapulco is the same as any destination. And I will say this about any destination that you go onto a cruise is make sure that you are always staying in the touristy spots. I mean, this comes down, I think, to presence. When you are out traveling, it doesn't matter if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, or if you think you're like in the safest port of all, just make sure you're in the right place. I
Well,
don't know.
and that's the same thing. I mean, a lot of people they think about like some of these Mexican towns and things like that are so dangerous. They're like any other big city. You know, I mean, you're going to have your scam artists who are trying to take advantage of you. Um, the problem that you have is if somebody gets robbed or murdered, it's blasted over the internet. But I mean, we have murders in the states, you know, all the time. So you'll be okay in Acapulco, I believe.
I
And if
think
you
so
look,
too.
if you go to the state travelry board, and they'll give you the ranking of how dangerous it is to go. It'll be no higher than going to any major city in the United States.
You know what's funny about the United States? If you go to the State Department for travel advisories, there is
Yes.
actually a travel advisory for every state in Mexico right now.
Yeah.
So technically, if we were to follow the State Department's advice, you should not visit Mexico at
Well,
all.
I mean, again, what level? Because they go like 3 or 4 levels, and most of them are fall in like with level 2, meaning that hey, just be cautious. So
Yeah.
if the states in the United States would be cautious, England be cautious, and most of Mexico be cautious. You know, I mean, very few of the places that the cruise ships go to is going to be higher than a 2. You know, you're not going to have a 3 because again, it's not good business to send people down there if they're getting robbed, murdered, raped, and it's not good business.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like a cruise company wants to. Those cruise ships, they stay far away from danger.
They do.
They do. Like when I was in Europe, it was interesting. We were actually supposed to go to St. Petersburg, Russia,
Yes.
on our trip, but we got diverted over to Finland. So we ended up in a place called Kotka, Finland. So like that's the thing. They're ships. They can go anywhere they want.
Right.
And we're talking about weather, the East Coast versus West Coast weather. Those captains on those ships, they're not dumb. They'll move the ship to sunnier weather, and they can find it. I mean, they have the whole Atlantic and the whole Pacific Ocean. They can find the patch that has calm weather. So it's very interesting to see how that goes. It's always funny to me on the West Coast. The short destination for the West Coast is Catalina Ensenada, because for those who do not know, there is a rule in the United States that if you are foreign flagged and I will say all the cruise ships in the world except for one are foreign flagged. There's only one cruise ship in the entire United States. It's Pride of America that sails around Hawaii that is U.S. flagged. And the reason why they do that is because if they're U.S. flagged, they can't have a casino. And so all the ships around the world, except for one, are foreign flagged. Most of them are in the Caribbean. So you'll see a lot of Dominican Republic, and you'll see a lot of Panama, and you'll see a lot of Haiti flags on those cruise ships because they have less regulation. But one of the regulations that they have is if they sail from a U.S. port, they also have to sail into a foreign port. Now, on the East Coast, that's really simple because all they have to do is go to one of the islands. They can go like Bermuda, Jamaica, and come right back. But on the West Coast, that's a little bit difficult. And so the closest one is Ensenada. So almost every cruise that you go on the West Coast, you will be sailing in and out of Ensenada. That's pretty much a guarantee.
Yep.
Because they have to. This is a picture, by the way, of Ensenada. And so they have to sail in and out. And so you're telling me M&T Living and Cooking that you moved to, did you move to Florida just because the weather? Is that what you're telling us right now? Because that would be interesting. I've heard people doing that before. I don't know. I think I heard you talking about Bill moving to Florida.
I would love to move like on the west coast of Florida, southwest part of Florida. I would love to move down there.
Yeah,
I say that now, but the summers can be brutal because of the high humidity.
Didn't you say that you were going to do like a scouting trip out there or something?
I like to spend like a summer down there.
Well, there you go. You heard it here, folks. M&T Living and Cooking, they moved to Florida because of the sunshine. I think they're trying to recruit you out there, Bill. They want you to go out to Florida.
I'm in.
You're in. He's at least willing to scout it out, right?
Right.
Yeah. So North Central, huh? Well, there's so much coastline in Florida to sail out of. So, I mean, really, you can go anywhere out there. 3 years now. Nice. Very nice. Well, we're glad to have you. Well, if you have any tips on where to live in Florida, let me know. Although I have to say, in California, we're always wondering about the weird laws in Florida. But I'm sure all the people in Florida are wondering about the weird laws that we have here in California. So I'm sure the people
That's every state. You started worrying about the different laws.
Every state's looking at the other state and going like, really? Really? Is that what you guys are all about? Now, speaking of terminals, so how is the terminal experience? Is there any difference, Bill, in the terminal experience on the East Coast versus West Coast? Like, I don't know. Like, I hear about these long lines that happen on the East Coast, but I've really never experienced that much of a long line on the West Coast. So I don't understand, like, why are the lines longer on the East Coast? What's going on over there?
I don't necessarily notice a difference, but like I mostly cruise Carnival, and on the West Coast I've only cruised Carnival, and I'm Diamond on Carnival.
Oh, so you're priority then.
I'm priority. So I go past the line. So I don't really wait in lines. They usually have little lounges to go sit off by yourself, with the Platinum and Diamond. So I don't see the lines like a lot of people might see them. So to me, they're about the same.
Now, you were recently, I saw on your last live stream, you were recently cruising with your daughter and her family on a cruise line, right?
Yes.
And they are not Diamonds, so on that one, did they get to move in with you, or how did that work out?
They did. We all went there. They followed me, basically.
They followed you. So they followed the guy with the platinum pass.
Yeah, we weren't in the same reservation, but we all went together with me, so they just came on board with me, and I mean, Carnival didn't have a problem with it. So
very, very interesting. So this is an interesting conversation that we're having here about Diamond level service. Now, at the Long Beach terminal, they have a Diamond lounge, and now they're doing what's called Faster to the Fun, where you can actually pay for like faster boarding time, which includes that lounge access.
Yes.
But what I noticed in Long Beach in the dome for the Diamond lounge, other than having cushioned seats, there was no food in there. Like, I didn't really notice the difference. Is there like anything special on the East Coast lounges?
No, they used to. Years ago, post or pre-pandemic, they used to have like juices and some snacks. They don't do that anymore. It's just all it is a separate seating area, and it's probably closer to where you board the ship. So when they call you, you call your zone, you go ahead and go up. But right now, there's not much difference. Me personally, I wouldn't pay for faster to the fun, because you get if you get an early boarding time, you'll get on what 20 minutes, 30 minutes faster. I mean, I don't know how much that is worth to people, but it's not worth anything.
Yeah, and on the West Coast, do not do that. People on the West Coast, I will say, faster the fun will get you on the ship like 10 minutes faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
The rooms do not open until 1:30 p.m.
Right.
I don't know how it is on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, the rooms do not open until 1:30 p.m. And it doesn't matter if you're Diamond or if you have faster the fun. It doesn't matter. And
well, it's supposed to be for Carnival. And again, most of my cruises have been on Carnival. I've been on, let's say 40 cruises on Carnival and one on Norwegian and one on Royal Caribbean. For Carnival, if you're Diamond or Platinum, they allow you to go to your room to drop your bag off and leave. The doors are closed where you're not supposed to go to your room, but for Diamond and Platinum, you're supposed to be able to go drop your bags off and leave the room. I've noticed more and more people are doing that, whether they're, whoever they are, dropping them off. And most of the time, I haven't heard any of the room cabin stewards complain. You know, just drop off the bag and leave.
yeah, there's nothing wrong. Just make sure you have a luggage tag on them. As long as you have the luggage tag, you're fine. I would always recommend for people in their day bag to make sure that they have a change of clothing. If something happens to that bag and it doesn't arrive to your room, you don't want to always be wearing the same clothes that you have. Like, I put a bathing suit on in my day bag with me because I do not want to be on my embarkation clothing the whole time. That's just not cool. Yeah. Looks like some people are getting a Sunday nap in. I'm glad people got a Sunday nap. Hopefully this show did not cause the Sunday.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. My goodness.
Hopefully not. Well, it's been great having you here on the show today, Bill. Do you have any? Well, you've been on both sides. Do you have any questions about West? I can't really comment on the East Coast, but I can comment on the West Coast. Any questions about the West Coast?
No, I mean, I would suggest everybody try a West Coast cruise. It's different. It hits differently than Mazatlan and Cabo San Lucas. Hits differently than Cozumel and the other Caribbean countries down there, Mexico, places. I would suggest it. Yeah, just try it one time.
Yeah, just try it one time. I think that's great advice. I mean, I don't know. Some people get scared of the West Coast sometimes, but there's some magical destinations. Well, we heard from your cruises. You will be cruising soon in Australia, which that sounds amazing. And then you will be going to Alaska. I will also be going up to Alaska. I will be going to Alaska in July, and I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great. I will be sailing up to Juneau, Alaska. I have a personal goal to visit all 50 state capitals, and I figure if I'm going to Alaska, Juneau, Alaska by cruise boat just seems like the best way to go. So I hope you have fun out there on both of those cruises. Thank you so much for coming on board. This has been the Pedrosa Travel Adventure Show, and we have been pleased to have you all here. Hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, please like and subscribe. Also, please visit Bill's channel. I saw that he dropped the link down there. And we will see you in the next one. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, John. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.